Welcome. Imagine just for a moment that quiet space when you're asleep where thoughts and feelings aren't quite words, but more like images, right?
Yes. A landscape painted with symbols.
Exactly. And today, we're sort of stepping into that world, not with, analysis and charts, but more through feeling, through intuition.
Through metaphor, the native language of the unconscious.
We have a voice guiding us today, someone who, well, listens deeply to that language. You could say a Freudian interpreter, but perhaps more like a poet of the inner world. Calm, thoughtful.
And another voice, someone sharing that journey, bringing fragments of dreams, deep feelings, looking for resonance perhaps, meaning.
Yes, and the insight, they won't be forced. They'll sort of emerge like images surfacing in water. So let's just listen.
Let's begin.
Okay, so I found myself small, like really small, back in this room I knew from childhood. But it was huge, vast, felt wrong somehow.
Small again. In a familiar yet vast space, that speaks volumes already. A return, maybe? Seeking something?
Maybe. But the toys, I remember this wooden train, it was there. They were all just frozen, still.
Frozen. Held in time. While you were small, diminished.
Yeah. But the wallpaper wasn't still. It had clouds and stars, and they were drifting, shifting just barely. It was unsettling.
So contrast. Stillness and movement. The familiar and the strange, side by side.
And my legs felt so short. Like every step was this huge effort. It felt like I knew things I shouldn't, Secrets, like carrying stones.
Knowing things beyond your apparent age in the dream, that's common. It's often a feeling of carrying an adult consciousness or maybe an older wisdom within that child form, heavy secrets.
And a clock.
Yeah.
It was a clock ticking, but it was wrong, out of sync. Just this thump, thump, thump against the quiet.
That out-of-sync clock, it pulls us away from simple nostalgia, doesn't it? It suggests this isn't just a memory, it's a different kind of time operating here.
Yeah, it felt like an echo.
An echo, yes, or a pulse from another layer of reality, perhaps this smallness, this return. It might feel like safety, but the vastness, the frozenness, the wrong rhythm. It hints at a cage, too, maybe. A limitation, even as your mind feels ancient.
A cage. And the view from the window. Wow. It wasn't day or night. It was this long, long twilight. Golden, but the shadows were like stretching, reaching.
The liminal space, the in-between. That's often where the veil thins, between conscious and unconscious. What else?
The leaves on trees I could really see, they shimmered like they had their own light. And way off, I heard kids laughing.
Shimmering leaves, fragile beauty, or perception itself being altered, maybe?
Could be. The laughter, though, it pulled at me, like pure joy. But I felt if I moved towards it, it would just vanish. So I hesitated.
That distant, elusive joy. A longing, but a fear of it dissolving upon approach. That speaks to a desire, perhaps, that feels precarious, untouchable.
Yeah, untouchable. And there was a mirror in the room, tilted funny. When I looked, my reflection wasn't stable. It kept flickering. Sometimes the child, sometimes me, now, the adult.
The flickering reflection, the self-caught in flux. Between who you were or who the dream cast you as and who you are, it's asking, isn't it? Who is looking? Which self is real in this space?
It felt unstable. Then I put my hand in my pocket, my small hand, and I felt something. Cold and sharp-edged.
Go on.
It was a key, just a single key, but it felt huge, important. Like, this is it. This unlocks something. My chest felt tight holding it.
A key, oh yes, a classic potent symbol. Access, potential, but cold, you say?
Yeah, not smooth, not welcoming.
So what it unlocks might be challenging, difficult. Maybe something forgotten or pushed away, hence the coldness. The tightness in your chest is your body reacting to its significance. The weight of possibility.
It felt like a burden almost, like, do I want to know what this opened?
Exactly. The key presents a question, a threshold. Are you ready? What lies behind that door, you sense?
And then there was a voice, not loud, soft and gentle. It didn't really sound like my voice, but familiar, maybe?
An inner voice.
Maybe. It just whispered, why are you here? Not like, what are you doing here? More curious, tender almost.
Tender curiosity, not an accusation, but an invitation. Why are you here? Not where, but why. What purpose does this journey serve? It sounds like the voice of the deeper self, perhaps, the unconscious, gently prompting.
It felt like an invitation to look deeper, and time. Time was behaving so strangely.
How so? You mentioned the clock, but more than that.
Yeah, it wasn't just the ticking, the feeling of time itself. It would stretch, go on forever in a moment, then suddenly just contract, fold in on itself. It was dizzying.
Ah, the elasticity of dream time. It doesn't follow linear rules, does it? It reflects emotional states, memories, landscape.
But it was weirdly comforting.
Yeah.
Like being wrapped in a blanket made of forgotten memories. You could almost feel these threads of emotion humming in it.
Comforting, yes. Because in that realm, the rigid structures dissolve. You're closer to the source, wrapped in the stuff of your own history, not chronologically, but emotionally, like a spiral, not a line.
A spiral, yeah. The overall feeling, looking back, it was like confronting parts of myself I'd sort of left behind. Does that make sense?
Differently, like shedding skins, perhaps? What kind of parts?
Innocence, maybe, but also this really raw vulnerability. And underneath that, a fear of being seen, really seen. These feelings just bubbled up, like ink dropped in water spreading out.
Ink spreading in water. Beautiful image, that's precisely it. Confronting the disowned self. The vulnerability, the fear of exposure. These are often the very things we exile. The dream brings them back, lets the ink cloud the water, demanding to be seen, integrated.
And I started noticing tiny things then, things I'd missed, like the faintest smell of rain. But the sky wasn't rainy, it was that weird twilight.
The scent of rain without rain, a trace of sadness. A cleansing needed, or just another layer of the unreal.
And the floorboards, they creak softly, even when I stood perfectly still.
Creaks in the silence. Little murmurs of anxiety, perhaps. Things unsettled beneath the surface.
And a nightlight. There was a nightlight in the corner I hadn't noticed. You cast these shadows on the wall, but they looked like constellations.
Ah, constellations from a nightlight. Even in the disorientation, there's a map, a pattern, potential guidance, connection to something larger, perhaps. These details aren't random. The unconscious arranges the stage meticulously.
It made me think, why be small? Why that form? But with my adult mind inside. Why cling to that?
That's the core tension, isn't it? The small, seemingly innocent body and the mind that knows, that feels the weight of secrets, the out-of-sync time. What is the adult self protecting by retreating into that form? Or perhaps, what is it trying to rediscover?
But thinking about Freud, childhood isn't just simple innocence, is it? I felt that too. A pull, like those drives he talked about. A current underneath everything.
Indeed. The pleasure principle, the reality principle, the drives, they operate from the beginning. It's not a simple, placid pool. There are undercurrents. You felt you were reaching for something.
Yeah, something I couldn't see, a desire, but shapeless, hidden.
An unseen object of desire, often hidden behind many masks in our lives, and certainly in dreams. It's the engine, sometimes.
And there were these hints, maybe, like the way I looked at the wooden train, its shape, or the promise of warmth in that distant laughter. Even my reflection, flickering. It felt almost charged.
Sexuality in dreams is rarely literal, of course. It's symbolic. It weaves itself into imagery suggesting connection, creation, longing, sometimes vulnerability through these suggestive details. The lingering days, the promised warmth, the alive reflection, whispers.
So maybe I am avoiding something. Using the small body like a shield from adult burdens. The dream lets these secrets out to play, like you said.
It provides a stage, yes. A safe, symbolic space to encounter what's too difficult or too contradictory for the waking mind. This smallness is refuge, perhaps, but also a confrontation.
And the key, unlocking something I want and fear at the same time. That feels right.
Precisely. Access to something vital, but potentially disruptive, attractive and threatening. That's often where the most potent transformation lies.
And the time thing, looping, spiraling. It felt like being stuck between worlds past and future, just folding together. Like memory really works, I guess.
Exactly like memory works. Not linear, but associative, recursive. The dream's time reflects this inner reality, trapping the dreamer, perhaps, between eras, forcing a reckoning with how past and present intertwine.
What am I searching for in that space? Lost trust? That feels big.
Or
Or just freedom, like a wildness I forgot. There are these tiny sparks, impulses of like embers you thought were dead.
Yearning for trust, for wild freedom. These sound like core desires, connected perhaps to that sense of innocence, but a powerful, not a naive innocence. The embers glow, they aren't extinguished. The dream shows you they still hold heat.
There was definitely pleasure and pain mixed up. That strange comfort in the disorientation, but also the tightness in my chest and the nightlight. Those constellation shadows kept shifting. Sometimes they looked like pathways, connections. Other times, just confusing patterns.
A dance of opposites. Dreams hold that complexity so well. Pleasure in the surrender, pain in the wait, the shifting patterns. Yes, they can be interconnections, maps of the psyche, or maybe reflections of the current state of confusion or clarity. A guiding light, however faint or complex.
But fear was there too. Not just the big stuff, but small things. The creaks,
Yeah.
that damn clock ticking wrong. Sometimes the air just felt thick, heavy, in the pauses.
Fear often resides in the periphery of dreams. In the atmosphere, the sensory details, the unsettling sound, the texture of the air. It's a quiet, pervasive dread sometimes, rather than a monster chasing you. It speaks to underlying anxieties.
Then the voice came back, softer, warmer still, just asking again, why are you here? And this time it felt like it knew I didn't have a simple answer, but it also knew the journey itself was the point.
The voice returns, affirming the process. It reflects an inner wisdom, perhaps, acknowledging the complexity and validating the exploration itself. The search, the experience within the dream, holds the meaning.
Yeah. It clicked then. This wasn't just about being a kid. It was about finding these bits I'd walled off. The vulnerability, sure, but also the courage it takes to be vulnerable. How fear and hope are tangled up.
Exactly. Reintegration, bringing the exiled parts home. Recognizing that strength and vulnerability aren't opposites, nor are fear and hope. They coexist, inform each other. The dream wants you to embrace the whole tapestry.
So the symbols, the key, the clock, the room, they aren't riddles with one answer. They're more like invitations, clues.
Invitations is a beautiful way to put it. Clues scattered by your own deep mind to guide you towards self-understanding. Engaging with them, feeling into them, that's the revelation, not decoding them like a puzzle.
The key in my hand started to feel different then. It began to hum, a low vibration, it felt like. Oh, like remembering a frequency, or maybe just my own pulse, amplified. The room started shimmering more.
The humming key, activation, or resonance. Your unconscious is signaling recognition, readiness perhaps. The frequency could be a lost part of your own energy, your vitality, the shimmering room, your inner state is shifting, boundaries loosening further.
I felt uncertain. Use the key. What would happen? It felt like it needed total surrender, trusting whatever was next. But the urgency, that tight feeling, it eased off. I just felt held in that blurry in-between space.
The moment of choice, it often requires that leap of faith, that vulnerability. But sometimes the readiness isn't about forcing the door open, but about allowing the threshold itself to hold you. The liminal space cradles you.
And it felt terrifying, that blurring, but also freeing.
Yeah.
Like I was dissolving, but also getting bigger somehow.
Dissolution and expansion, the paradox of letting go of the ego's tight grip. It feels like dying sometimes, but it's often about merging with something larger, accessing a wider consciousness, both terrifying and liberating, absolutely.
Then the laughter came back, closer, warmer, so tender, beckoning me. I started to walk slowly. And the world, the room, it just shifted. Colors bled into each other, like wet paint.
The laughter calls you forward now, not teasingly distant, but intimately welcoming. Connection, warmth, acceptance drawing you in. The bleeding colors show the dream states, fluid reality, emotions washing over perception.
And weirdly, being small felt. Okay then, grounding. My tiny hands reached out. I touched the train, the mirror, the nightlight. The key felt warm now, and the voice inside was gone. Just breathing, steady, quiet breathing, safe.
Grounded in the smallness, paradoxically, connecting through touch, the most fundamental sense, the key warming, the voice silent, suggesting a move from questioning to being, the steady breath of inner peace, of belonging within yourself.
And then the room just dissolved, really dissolved. The wallpaper clouds melted into the sky. The toys just sort of floated into the floor. The clock stopped, faded out. And I wasn't scared. I just accepted it, watched it unravel.
The final dissolution of the old structure. Ego boundaries softening completely. Acceptance replacing fear. This indicates a profound level of trust in the process, allowing the transformation. It's not destruction, but release.
And right there, in the middle of it all dissolving, I understood. It wasn't about being a child. It was about reclaiming all those parts. The wonder, yes, but also the quiet courage, the vulnerability, the strength I didn't know was mine. They were all there, always were, just waiting.
That is the heart of it. Reclaiming the wholeness. Recognizing that all these qualities, innocence, courage, vulnerability, strength, are inherent parts of you, available, waiting for your conscious recognition and embrace.
The dream let me go then,
Yeah.
gently. Sensations faded, images softened, but something lingered,
Yeah.
a feeling like it wasn't really over, just shifting phase.
The gentle release. The transition back towards waking. That lingering impression is the dream's gift. Its resonance carried back across the threshold. It continues its work even after you wake.
I opened my eyes. My bedroom. Familiar, but different. The light on the ceiling looked like those constellations, and I could swear I smelled rain, just faintly. The heaviness I didn't even know I had, it was gone. It's this quiet clarity.
The dream has subtly altered your perception of the waking world. You're seeing with new eyes, perhaps. The clarity, the lightness, these are signs of integration, of the inner shift manifesting outwardly.
I looked at my hands. They felt different. Like they held things, memories, potential. And I just heard this echo, this is not the end.
Your hands as vessels of memory and creation, now infused with the dream's energy. The message is clear. This journey of self-discovery, this dialogue with the unconscious, it's ongoing.
The sky outside, still that pale in between light. But a bird started singing, just one clear song that felt like promise. I closed my eyes to listen. It just washed over me.
Hope.
The liminal sky remains, but now hope sings within it. The bird song bridges the dream world and the waking one, offering a note of beginning, of possibility emerging from the deep exploration. When I opened my eyes again, things looked normal, ordinary. But I knew the dream wasn't gone. It's here, like a quiet friend, reminding me there's meaning hidden in plain sight, and light, even when it feels dark.
It lives on within you, a quiet companion indeed. A reminder to keep listening to the subtle whispers, the symbolic language of your own depths.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How much our inner worlds are trying to communicate if we just learn the language.
It's a lifelong conversation, and incredibly rich.
So perhaps the question for you, listening now, is what symbols are knocking at your door? What feelings are bubbling up, asking to be seen?
What invitations is your own inner landscape offering tonight? Worth pondering.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the symbolic heart of experience.
May your reflections be fruitful,